Hey, thanks for checking out video number 2 for our new Edit Photos feature. In this video, we're going to go over 4 main items. First, adding text. Second, what do I do if I make a mistake? I'm going to show you how to undo or erase. Third, what if I just make a little tiny mistake? I'll show you how to move and resize. And fourth, I'll show you a bunch of additional edit options including color, background color, opacity, thickness, and some other items that are specific to text or drawings or specific to Android or iOS. So first, let's just do everything on the Android side, and then we'll do everything on the iPhone side. I'm going to tap on this picture of the churros, and I'm going to tap Edit Photo. And first of all, let's add some text. That's that T option right there on the top left. I'll tap on that. Tap somewhere in the photo, and I can just start typing. Okay, I've been playing around with the font and everything on here already, and I really dislike that font, so I will show you later how to change it. But first, when you're done with your text, just tap somewhere outside of that little text box. If I tap on a banana right here, it will stop editing that text. Next, I'm going to select the marker, and I'm just going to draw something here so we have something else to edit. Okay, let's move on to number 2. What if I make a mistake? Well, you have this useful little undo button right here. If I tap that, it's going to make the green go away. If I tap it again, oh, it went back to a typo that I made on the text. But if I keep tapping undo, it will erase all that text. And of course, we also have the redo button right here. So if I tapped undo too many times, I can tap redo to get all of that stuff back that I just did. So that's probably the easiest way to fix a mistake. Just tap undo and try again. And there is another option if you make a mistake. We have this eraser item right here. So if you tap on that, I can now erase little parts of what I drew. I don't think it works on text. No, it doesn't do anything to text, but it will erase little parts of any drawings that you made. And the eraser has this little circle here, just like the marker. You can tap there to change the size of the eraser. Just move the slider to make it bigger or smaller. Okay, I'm going to close the eraser, and I'm going to tap that undo button a couple times to get that drawing back, because I'm going to show you other ways to edit it. First, what if you just made a tiny mistake? Maybe you drew it slightly in the wrong place or you need it slightly bigger or smaller. Great. First, just make sure you have nothing selected in your tool tray here. Right now I have the eraser selected, so I'll tap that to unselect it. And then I can tap right here on the green drawing, and that little box with the dots around it shows me that I have that selected. So I can just drag one of those dots on the corner to make it bigger or smaller, and that diagonal dotted line lets me know that I'm only changing the size, not the shape. If I move my finger away from that dotted line, I can squish it in one direction or the other. So it's just a real easy way to resize or reshape a little bit your drawing if you just didn't quite draw it right where you wanted it. Or you can simply tap somewhere in the middle of the drawing and drag your finger around to move it around. So if you pretty much like what you drew and just need to change it a little bit, just use one of these move or resize options just to tweak it a little. Okay, let's get into some of the more advanced edit options for your drawings or your text. On Android, all you do is tap this little circle where you pick your color, and it gives you a bunch of other options as well. On a drawing like this, you have color, fill color, thickness, opacity, and order. The color we talked about in the last video, you can just change the color that you're drawing with. But we didn't talk about the fill color. Right now the fill color is this gray and white checker box. What that means is that it's transparent. There is no fill color. But if I tap on that and choose a fill color like maybe white, now if I go back, you're going to see that entire drawing has a white box around it. Most of the time, I think this isn't going to be very useful, but in some cases it might be, and you can see on the text it was really useful. It makes that text show up very clearly when you have that box behind it. But for the most part on a drawing, probably you want your fill color to be that gray and white checkerboard so that it is transparent. Alright, next on our way down we have thickness. Just drag it to the right to make that drawing more thick, and drag it to the left to make it skinny. I'm going to drag it back somewhere in the middle. I think it looks best right about there. And then we have opacity. 100% opacity means that you can't see through the drawing at all, and 0 means it's completely invisible. And somewhere in between it's sort of semi-transparent. So you can choose if you want to cover it up completely or still be able to see a little bit of what's behind what you drew, more like a highlighting effect. I'm going to slide it all the way back to the right and give it 100% opacity. And finally we have the order options. It doesn't do much if you don't have any drawings on top of each other, so let me tap out of here. I'll select the marker, and let's draw something right there on top of what I just drew. Deselect the marker. I'm going to select one of these, and I know that what I've just selected is the more recent drawing. That's the one that's sort of on top right now, although you can't really tell. If I tap on that little circle, I can change the color. It's going to be a little more obvious. Let's go with black actually. So you can see the black is on top of that sort of teal color. So this order option down here, if I tap it down one, it will now go behind the teal color. It flashed behind for a second, then came back on top again because right now I'm editing it, so it's trying to make it visible to me so I can see my changes. But if I tap out, you will see that the black actually is behind the teal. So with the black behind the teal, it's kind of hard to select the black. Maybe I can select that bottom part that's sticking out a little farther. Yeah, I think I got it. So now if I tap this circle again, I can open up those edit options and I can move it up and have it be in front of the teal. So these middle two options move items up or down one layer. The one on the far left moves it all the way to the top. The one on the far right moves it all the way to the bottom. And that's pretty much it for your drawing options on Android. I'm going to tap on the text now and you can see some of the text options. First of all, you have your resize dots here. I can tap and drag to resize, and really it doesn't resize the text, it just resizes the background box. And I also have this one kind of sticking out on top. If I tap and drag on that, I can rotate the text. But there's a whole bunch more options if you tap on this little circle right here. Here's all your options for the text. So first of all, I hate this font. Let's change it to something else. I like this Roboto font, so I'll stick with that. Then I'll go back. I have my text color and fill color, of course. That is the color of the text and the color of the box behind it. Thickness here will just change the box size behind the text, make it bigger or smaller. And then finally we have size, that is the font size. You can tap on the size right here and type in a size and then type done. Or you can just use this slider, move it to the left to make it smaller, move it to the right to make it bigger. Line style lets you put a box around the box. And actually, if you choose to have a box around the box, this thickness slider affects the thickness of that. It was kind of invisible before, so you couldn't really tell, but it does change the thickness of the outline if you have a line around the box. And then opacity, once again, makes this all a little bit see-through, completely invisible, or slide it back to the right to make it completely visible, totally covering up the photo. Okay, I think that's about it for the Android side. Let's look at the iPhone side. And this might be a good time to remind you that once you save and close your edits on a photo, it becomes permanent. And I haven't done that on the Android side yet, so if I open up this churros photo on my iPhone, you will see it doesn't have any of those edits because I haven't saved them on the Android side yet. They essentially don't exist until you save them. Once you save them, they're permanent. So I'm actually going to exit out of the photo on the Android side, and I'm going to discard my edits. Okay, back to the iPhone. Let's tap Edit Photo, and let's go through those 4 items again. First, adding text. Tap the T, tap on the photo, type your text, and then to complete editing the text, just tap somewhere outside that text box. Now I'm going to draw a little something, give us something to play with, just like I did on the Android side. Okay, now to undo or erase. First of all, we have the undo button right here, really simple. Tap on that to undo, tap again, it'll just keep going through anything you've done. If you want to redo anything you've undone, just tap the redo button and all your edits will reappear. Next, to erase just part of a drawing, tap on the eraser, and then just tap and slide around your drawing and it will erase whatever you slide your finger over. And just like on the Android side, you got this little circle here where you can tap and slide to change the size of the eraser and make it bigger or smaller. Okay, I'm going to close the eraser. I'm going to tap undo a couple times to get my drawing back. And now let's talk about if you just want to move and resize. First of all, once again, make sure you have nothing selected in your tool tray. So I will deselect the eraser. Now I can tap on the drawing, and I can use these blue dots to resize or reshape my drawing. I can also just tap and slide somewhere in the middle to move it around the photo. And of course, the same thing applies to the text. If I tap on the text, I can move it around, I can resize it. Oh, that actually changed the font size. I don't think it did that on Android. And then I've got this dot hanging down here on the bottom where I can tap and slide to rotate the text. Now there's a key difference between iPhone and Android here, and that is we don't have the little circle in the task tray. Instead, we have this inspector option. If I tap Inspector, I get all of my text options, and you can see it looks a little bit different than it did on the Android. Personally, I think one of the most useful things about the iOS interface are these presets down here on the bottom. So I can tap one of those, and it will apply one of those presets automatically without me having to go in and choose the text color and the fill color. Now, another difference between the iPhone and Android is the Android had that gray and white checkerboard to indicate that it's transparent. On iPhone, it uses this red slash. That red slash means the background in this case is transparent. If I tap on the fill color right here, you can see I can put a box around the text just like you could on Android. Let me tap on the text again, open Inspector, and open Fill Color. And with this interface I have right here, I'm actually going to drag the opacity down to 0%, and then tap back, or where it says text right here. And you can see with the opacity at 0%, it has the fill color as that red slash, which means it's completely transparent. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but the text is actually out of view up here. So let me close this real quick. I'm going to drag the text down a little bit, and then reopen the inspector so we can actually see what we're doing here. All right, let's just run through top to bottom. We've got the text size. You can tap on the size itself, and then iPhone actually gives you a list. You can choose one just by tapping on it, or you can tap the plus or minus buttons to make the text bigger or smaller, just 1 pixel at a time. All right, let me tap on that. I'm gonna choose much bigger font so we can see it. There we go. Okay, then we have the font itself. If I tap on that, I can choose a different font, and then tap text, which is kind of the back button in this context. It goes back to this area that has the text heading, and once again, it had slid out of view, so I just moved it back into view again. Okay, we also have alignment options here. It doesn't make a huge difference. It's gonna slide it a little bit to the left of the box, put it in the center, or to the right. I'll just keep it in the center. Color and fill color we talked about already. Opacity, it's the same as Android. 0% is completely invisible, somewhere in between is kind of semi-transparent, and then if you slide it all the way to the right to 100%, it's not transparent at all. Now this is something kind of cool that's just on iPhone right now. The style gives you the option to point to something. So if you're labeling something in the picture, we can tap on this one right here. It gives you a little arrow line coming off, and we can tap and drag this around. There we go. And it has a little arrow or dot on the end, depending on the style, that's just going to point to whatever you're labeling in the picture. Tap on that again, tap on inspector. And now that I have that line on there, I can tap on line end and choose if it has an arrow or a circle or whatever style of line you want coming off of that text. Okay, continuing down, we have the order options just like on Android. It's the same thing, and the color presets that I mentioned earlier. So let's close that. Those are all your text options. Now, if I tap on the drawing here and then tap inspector, we have similar options for this line that I drew. And there is one unique option here on the iPhone side, that is the blend mode. Personally, I don't think you're going to want to use this very often. Its main purpose is if the colors in your photo make your drawing hard to see, no matter what color you're picking. There are some crazy blend modes here that make it show up no matter what. For example, let's choose difference down here on the bottom. Now it's going to edit the color of my drawing depending on what's behind it so that it's always going to be visible. And I happen to have chosen a horrible example. I think it was much more easily visible before I changed it. But again, like I said, I don't think you're going to use this very often. I just wanted to call it out because it is a menu item here on the iPhone. So I'm going to tap on blend mode. I'm going to go back to normal, and my suggestion is probably just leave it at normal all the time. Okay, let me open the inspector one more time. I want the thickness a bit bigger here. Again, the thickness and color is probably all you need to make sure your drawing is visible. Other than that, I believe all these options are pretty much the same as the Android side. But once again, you have these presets on the bottom, and I will mention, in case you skipped past the Android and didn't watch, if you're an iPhone user, you might have just skipped to this part of the video. So let's tap on the background color. I want to show you what it looks like. First of all, I'm going to drag the opacity up here so that it's not completely transparent, and now that it's not transparent, I can choose a color. Like if I choose that light blue, go back here, you can see it made this box behind the whole drawing, and it really just covers up the photo. So most of the time I think this is not going to be very useful, but there might be a case where you really want your drawing to show up, so I just want to show you that that's an option. But for now, I'm going to tap on that item, tap inspector, and you can see because I had this preset selected down here, it actually changed the preset so that now this preset has a background that is light blue instead of transparent. So I'm going to tap on background color, and let's get back to my transparent background. Go back and close that, and good. The background box is gone, and if I tap and open inspector again, you can see my preset has a transparent background again. Okay, one more thing I'll show you on the text. If I tap on text, tap on inspector, the fill color, that's the fill for the box behind the text. That can be really useful in the text actually. If I change the opacity, make it 100%, and let's choose white right here on the top left. Go back to the callout, close that. You can see it puts a white box behind the text, and that could be really useful because the text without the box behind it might be difficult to read depending on what's in the photo. All right, that's about it. There is just one more little thing on iPhone, and that is you can use these two little lines right here to move the tool tray to the other side of the image in case it's in your way. Okay, let's go ahead and save and close that. Would you like to save these edits? Yes. Close that photo, and once the Android phone syncs, you'll see those drawings show up on that side as well. So there you go. Maybe more than you wanted to know about our new editing photos feature, and just so you know, all of these features also exist in our document management section, plus a whole lot more features that you can do on the document side. But if this looks familiar to you, it's because we have these features on the document side, and instead of reinventing the wheel, we just added those features right here to the photos. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Of course, if you need a hand with anything, reach out to us anytime or reach out directly to your account manager. We'll be in touch again soon with more updates.